Hi guys, Obi Dave here.
And I am Ash.
Together we are Obi Dave and I am Ash.
Yeah.
On a Tuesday morning, hay fevery. Woke up in the morning by chickens going back, 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 back.
Seriously, like, obviously you guys have heard the stories, but Rosie has calmed down. The other two have been named now by the kids, which is Izzy and Sherry.
Not everyone may have heard. So we had a chicken die last week.
Daisy, rest in peace.
Daisy, it was the week before last actually. She went up and croaked it.
Shame.
And we went and got 2 new chickens, which Rosie, the old miserable one that we've had for years, didn't like.
She's a moody cow anyway.
She's being a bitch.
She's wing slapped the kids. She's wing slapped Dave. She will not be picked up, even though we've handled her loads and tried to get her to be a bit more of a pet.
Yeah, and she's telling the other 2 chickens off all the time.
The time.
But it just means that we're waking up to either one of them announcing themselves to the world.
Yep.
Or another one of them just going, or Rosie usually just going, ah!
She's just so annoyed that she has to share a nesting box, and she's just, every time they're in there trying to lay eggs, she's just going berserk.
Yeah. At least it's happening at about 8 in the morning at the moment, which, when we first got them, it was 4:30 in the morning.
Oh God, the white one, Izzy.
I ran out into the garden, no contact lenses in, lying, just wearing a dressing gown with nothing underneath. And she was just sat on the perch, just going back, 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 like 4:30 in the morning.
Like she was a cockerel.
And I was like, shut the fuck.
I know, yeah. It's like, shut up.
Anyways, yeah, at least they're good enough to do it at 8 o'clock now.
Yes.
And it is summer, so as it's darker
super.
In the mornings, they'll get later.
Get better.
It?
And the bullying has reduced. It's not nearly as aggressive, but Rosie still, if Izzy or Cherry goes anywhere near them, she just goes back.
Get off. Right then, we haven't reacted to the Fat Electrician for ages.
No, we have not.
2 main reasons for that. One, every time we reacted to the Fat Electrician, the PC used to do weird things.
Yep.
But that's why we've gone back to a standalone camera, and I've got to glue it all together at the end.
Yep.
Second reason, all of his videos recently have been 40, 50 minutes long.
Oh, wow.
Which I keep clicking on. I'm like, yeah, we're going to react to that. And I'm like, we're going to be here for an hour and a half. With the
way we talk, I know, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, maybe we could at some point, but we've both been busy. I've had exams, training to be an electrician at the moment, and I'm pretty chubby, so, Fat Electrician 2.0.
But if you want longer videos from us, please get up in the comments. Obviously, we try and keep them short for you guys, but if you want longer, let us know. Otherwise, hop onto our Patreon, and we do live watch-alongs for Always Sunny in Philadelphia, which are a bit longer, generally.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But let's do it. America's Airborne Beavers, Operation Beaver Drop. Yes, this actually happened.
I think I heard about this, I'm sure I read somewhere where they were talking about they're trying to repopulate. Maybe I'm getting this wrong.
I mean, beavers are always, in the UK as well, being reintroduced into the wild. But I wonder if this could be into enemy territories, maybe during Vietnam or the Second World War or something.
Oh, interesting.
To dam the rivers somewhere to maybe cut supplies off down the line.
That would be interesting. But they've repopulated. You've seen, the fish cannons.
Yeah. Let's find out. Anyway, this is America's Airborne Beavers. Beaver. Shows you Beaver.
This is easily one of my favorite stories of all time, and it is the epitome of it's not stupid if it works. Today we're talking about Operation Beaver Drop, that time that a bunch of World War II veterans that worked for the Idaho Fish and Game Department got assigned the task of relocating a bunch of beavers to a different habitat, and they decided that the cheapest, safest, most cost-effective way to go about that was to strap them to parachutes and throw them out of a plane. And we'll get into it right after this ad, because I got bills. This video is brought to you by Conflict of Nations, a free online PvP military strategy.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the movie The Dam Busters?
Yes.
And it's about the bouncing bombs that were used in the Second World War to take the dams out.
We watched it at school for one of our history lessons. It's unbelievable.
It's an amazing story.
Yeah,
and
huge.
Some of them were tested in the UK, weren't they?
Yeah.
On dams.
Yeah.
Was it the RAF that did it, or was it the American Air Force?
I don't remember, but I definitely feel like the RAF had involvement.
I wonder if this is to do with the testing for the dam busters. So obviously they've got to relocate the beavers.
Don't know.
But parachuting beavers
it's
into
just ridiculous.
Wisconsin. Okay, I'm going to be honest with you guys. The nuclear submarines are not super helpful in Midwestern warfare, but that's the type of flexibility that Conflict of Nations allows. I've already taken over Minnesota, the land of 10,000 lakes. I'm going to put a nuclear submarine in every one of those lakes. Anyways, if you want to give it a try, it's available on both PC and mobile, and if you use my link and discount code down below, you're going to get 13,000 free gold and a free 1-month membership. Let's get back to the video.
Nice beavers.
All right, let's just take this from the top. Beavers, okay, one of my favorite animals. Why? Because I believe it is the animal that is most similar to humans. And I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, what about monkeys? What about apes? What about chimpanzees? They've all got thumbs and they poke shit with sticks and they eat bananas just like people do. That's fine. I understand that they're very similar to people, but beavers are the most similar to humans in spirit. We are the only animals on the planet with the audacity to walk into a new ecosystem and be like, wow, I hate everything about this. I could A, migrate, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go with option B and change everything about the world around me to make it suit me better and fuck everybody else. Yeah. Now, do I enjoy the wetlands that beavers create with their dams? No, it's not my jam. However, game recognized game, because when a beaver sees running water and is like,
"You gonna do this? Okay, fine." That's all I needed for him to do that, and it became personal with me.
It's no different than when it's July and it's hot out and I decide to turn my air conditioner on so I can domesticate the wind so that my balls aren't hot, okay? It's about changing the environment around you rather than changing yourself. Okay, it's just that species-wide main character in.
That would have been the time to put a clip in, by the way. There's a UFC fighter that when Rogan went up to him at the end of a fight, he took his shorts off and went, "My balls is hot." That would have been the time.
Oh, yeah.
Clip.
That's unreal.
Of, I don't need to evolve anymore. I'm perfect how I am. I'm going to evolve the world around me to some shit that I like more. So while I have a great childish respect for beavers, unfortunately for the beavers, between the 15, 16, 17, 1800s, their furs made dope-ass hats and they were really popular all across Europe. And the beavers were almost hunted to extinction for their pelts. Okay, and as I'm sure you can imagine, no beavers means no beaver dams. No beaver dams means no wetlands. And no wetlands messes up the entire ecosystem. Okay, we can't have it. We got to quit killing all the beavers. So the early 1900s, people realized this. They put protections on the beavers and we quit trying to hunt them to extinction and actually try to help encourage their population to build back up. Okay, fast forward like 50 years, 1945, 1946, right around then. All the young men that went off and fought World War II are coming back home. They got a bunch of money from fighting that war. They want to get a wife, build a house, have some kids, do people things. So they start expanding. And one of the places this happens in is a town called McCall, Idaho. And they start expanding and the town gets bigger and bigger. And eventually it displaces a bunch of beavers that have been out in the woods doing beaver things for hundreds of years. And these new beavers get displaced and they go out and they start fucking up a bunch of farmers' fields and irrigation systems. And it gets to the point that the people in the town are just going to start shooting these beavers because they're messing everything up. At this point, the Idaho Fish and Game Department, presumably also full of World War I and World War II veterans, steps in and like, no, we're not gonna kill these beavers. These guys are awesome. They do a lot for the environment. We're gonna take them. We'll move them somewhere else where they can thrive.
We're not killing beavers. We're just relocating them.
So here's the plan. They're gonna capture the beavers alive. They're gonna drive them as far as they can on roads, and then they're gonna pack them in on horses and mules, miles and miles into the wilderness where they're not gonna be near any humans ever. And this is a complete disaster pretty much from the start. They capture the beavers alive, stick them in a cage, throw them on a truck, try to drive them hours and hours into the wilderness. This is really hard on them because beavers, they're a lot like me. I like to sit in my house in the air conditioning. They like to sit in their dams in the nice, damp, wet environment to keep cool. Beavers can't keep cool on the back of an unair-conditioned truck in the mid-1940s. A lot of them are getting heat stroke, they're passing out, they're dying, they quit eating, or they get super agitated and they're very combative the entire time because they're hot. Then, even if the beavers do survive the truck ride, they're all pissed off and angry, and now they're getting strapped to a horse or a mule, and that pisses off the horse because he's got a bunch of angry beavers all over him, and now the horse is pissed off, and the whole thing just, it doesn't work. So now the Fish and Game Department is like, well, what are we gonna do? We gotta save all these beavers. We wanna get them up in the mountains so they can build their wetlands. It's gonna help protect the town from flash flooding. It's gonna prevent erosion. It's gonna be great for the environment. We gotta save these guys. And one guy at the Fish and Game Department presumably is like, I mean, I got an idea. Hear me out. We do have an awful lot of extra surplus parachutes from World War II laying around, and we've got a plane. Okay, now to us in 2024, this sounds insane, but you gotta remember, this
Sounds
is
cool,
1948, okay? There's no OSHA,
Definitely
there's
some
no
drinks involved in this
rules and
conversation.
regulations, and it's in Idaho, which is basically the middle of nowhere at this point. Nobody's telling these guys what to do. A bunch of World War I, World War II veterans are like, huh, it's actually a pretty good idea, Jimmy. You know, it did work at Normandy, and the beavers aren't even gonna have Germans shooting at them, so I mean, pretty high likelihood they'll be fine. Let's try it.
It's just a ridiculous notion. You definitely know that they've been sat around brainstorming for absolutely ages, and then there's a few drinks involved. And, hey, let's throw them out of plane.
A good plan executed swiftly usually trumps an excellent plan procrastinated over.
Oh, yeah.
And I paraphrased that massively, and that's probably not exactly how it's said. But these guys have got together, they've had an issue, and they've gone, how can we fix this issue? That'll work. Let's just do it.
Let's just do it.
Rather than sit around for years going, yeah, but if we
do this and this.
fucking do the thing.
Well, I told you about Operation Noah in Zimbabwe, didn't I? When they were building Kariba Dam Wall, sorry. And as they were starting to build it, they knew that it was going to flood pretty quickly, but they didn't expect it to flood as quickly as it did. So they had to move thousands and thousands of wildlife. You can imagine like rhinos, elephants, you know, impala, kudu, everything. And like I've shown you pictures of Kariba, like it filled so quickly that there's petrified trees just in the middle of this massive lake. And so there's videos, like obviously black and white videos, where people were just putting nets up and just hooking a whole bunch of animals and moving them because the floodplain just flooded so fast.
It's better than them drowning, isn't it?
Well, that's it. It's unbelievable.
It's just dawned on me as well. I need to be wearing a wife beater vest and a cap when we react to the fat electrician.
What's a wife beater?
Just a vest. They're just called wife beaters. Have you never heard that before?
No, I've heard Stella call wife beater.
Yeah, vests are as well. It's true. Let me know. Say it in the comments to prove that I'm not a mad person that's just made that up. Wife beater vest. It's true.
I think you made that up, sweetheart.
I didn't. Help me. Please help.
Maybe it has to be white.
Which one say?
I don't know.
So, first order of business, we got to develop a box that opens up once it hits the ground and gets the beavers to the ground safely. Pretty simple. It's basically two halves of a box with some holes drilled in it. They weave the rope through. Once the parachute lands, there's no more tension on the rope. The box just kind of falls open. The beavers get out and start doing beaver things. So first we're going to test it before we put any innocent beavers at risk. We're going to take some empty weights, put them in the boxes, go up in the plane, drop them over the practice field, see how it goes. Goes fine the first couple of times. Okay, let's try it with one beaver just for practice. So they go ahead, they pick an older male. He's out of his breeding prime, potentially dangerous to some of the younger males. If something does happen, he's lived out most of his life. They name him Geronimo because they're a bunch of meatheads and that shit's funny. So they put him in a crate, they take him up in the plane, drop him off over the practice field from 800 feet. Geronimo makes it and survives. Now, obviously, we're not going to put all our beavers in one basket because of one successful test run. We need multiple test runs to be certain that this is going to work. And now that Geronimo is technically our lucky beaver, he's going to do it again. So he does. Geronimo does it again and again. And again, and he keeps jumping, like more than 12 jumps this beaver makes. And by the end of it, the parks employees reported that Geronimo would actually run up to them and help them put him in the crate because he was ready to go again. Oh, this is animal abuse. And what if one of those boxes didn't open after the parachute landed? Buh. Okay, first of all, no it isn't. I've already went over the options. A, they could stay where they were at, being displaced, and end up getting shot by farmers for messing up their crops. B, they could spend days in transit on the truck and on a pack mule suffering and potentially dying. Or C, throw them in an airplane, fly them there in 15 minutes, and then throw them out the side. They can get their jump wings while they're doing their Band of Beavers reenactment, okay? It's literally the best option. Okay, secondly, why are you worried about the box not opening? Like, did you think about this at all? It's a pine box, and that's a beaver, okay? Literally the only animal in the animal kingdom known for cutting down trees with its fucking face. I have the utmost confidence that if one of those boxes malfunctions, the beaver is going to figure it out. All right, so now they have their beaver delivery method. They develop a plan. They pick out a bunch of different locations all over this wooded area where they're going to be able to drop these beavers off in groups of like 3 to 5, 2 males, 3 females, 1 male, 3 females, something like that, enough that they're going to be able to rebuild their own little colonies, but they're going to be spread out enough that they're not going to congregate into one thing, and it's going to be a humongous boost to the beaver population. This is what conservation's all about. So they get that all figured out, they have the plan in place, they know the delivery method, now they just got to go catch all the beavers. So they go back to town, catch them all, there's 76 of them. They take them back, they start loading them in crates, and they're going to take them up in the plane and throw them out the side. And here's the best part about the whole thing. They filmed it.
Into the drop box. Nearly ready for that flight back back into the mountain.
And this is where you can really start to see that this is a different time. I mean, look at this absolute Chad just manhandling this beaver into that crate with no safety equipment, no gloves, no eye pro, nothing. If this were modern day, that guy would have leather protective gloves up to his elbow. He'd have safety glasses with a hard hat, with a face shield, with a leather apron. He'd have 2 dudes holding his hand while he did it just to make the safety guy happy. No, this is just some angry war veteran throwing a beaver into a box like it's another 8-hour workday. It's fantastic. That's it. They get the beavers loaded up on the plane. The plane takes off. They drop all the beavers in their designated drop zones. 75 out of the 76 survived. I don't know how they know this. I'm assuming they had people on the ground at the different drop locations.
Maybe someone had a heart attack mid-air.
That the beavers made it or whatever. But apparently the one beaver that didn't make it had somehow either slipped through the crack when the rope was loose or eaten his way out of the box after they let it out of the plane, and the beaver was last seen standing on top of the box with the parachute above him, and he probably would have been fine, except when he got 75 feet off the ground, he decided to jump.
Oh dear.
So on one hand...
Imagine if you didn't know what was happening and you're in the wilderness and a beaver on top of a crate on a parachute, it just like just goes past you like that.
He's like staring at you like, all right, buddy.
You'd give up foraging mushrooms for life.
Oh, you would.
You'd be like, they would not.
Like...
You'd eat more of them.
That's kind of sad, but on the other hand...
No, what if one landed on your face? What if he just jumps out and you're just like hunting and like, you know, I'm hunting wabbits, and then it just like beaver lands on your face.
From 100 foot up. That'd hurt. Got knocked out by a
like
beaver.
Looney Tunes. It's just so ridiculous.
Go back to the wife 2 days later and it's like, you've been drunk and you've been on a bender for 2 days.
No, really?
No,
I got hit in
beaver
the
flew
face
out
and
the
didn't look,
sky.
I got it, but did it.
And, natural selection. If the other 75 beavers figured it out and you didn't, it's probably on you. On a happier note, though, the boys at the Fish and Game Department decided to hook up their lucky beaver, Geronimo. This is posted in the Journal of Wildlife Management, Volume 14, Number 2, April of 1950. The article, Transplanting Beavers by Airplane and Parachute by Elmo W. Heater, Idaho Fish and Game Department, McCall, Idaho. And I quote, Geronimo had a priority reservation on the first ship into the hinterland, and that with 3 young females went with him. They had to hook up their boy. And he made it. Apparently they went to check in on him a couple years later, and his new colony was, and I quote, very well established. And Geronimo was not unique in that, because pretty much every drop zone ended up turning into a thriving beaver colony in the following years, because they kept tabs on this entire thing. And not only did it work, it was also super cost effective, because according to this journal, the cost of transplanting one of these colonies was $30. It was $2 for the box, $16 for the surplus cargo parachute, and the flight time, man hours, and fuel totaled to $12 for a total of $30 per colony. And just to be clear, that's the actual crazy part about this story. It's not the fact that they actually had airborne beavers to go save the environment. No, that seems pretty reasonable. The crazy part is that these guys back in the 1940s managed to get the job done, have fun, and record it, and they did it for like $300 to $500. Because we all know in modern times, if they wanted to do this, there'd have to be like a 15-year-long environmental impact study that costs the US taxpayers $25 million just so that the government could determine that if you drop beavers off in the forest, they will in fact do what beavers do. And then once the government goes ahead and says it is in fact okay to put beavers in the woods, it's going to take another 10 years for Lockheed Martin and Boeing to bid on the contract worth $100 million to relocate 100 beavers into the woods.
Is it just me, or was that the stupidest thing we've ever seen?
Sorry, I'm ranting. In conclusion, the moral
That's
of the
from
story is if it sounds
Cartoon
dumb,
Network.
but it works, it's not that dumb. And sometimes it's ridiculously cost effective to just let people do their job. Also, beavers are cool, and airborne beavers are even cooler, and this has been the story of America's band of beavers, the airborne paratrooper beavers that went in to save the environment. Thank you for watching. Best way to support the channel is go buy some merch over to thefatelectrician.com. Quack bang out.
That was so good. What a fascinating story. Like, the stuff we've done over the years, like, it's just ridiculous.
It's mad, isn't it?
But it's worked, so it's not stupid, is it?
I do want to point out as well, I tried to buy a Fat Electrician t-shirt because we react to him to support him a little bit. The postage to the UK is insane. Huge. And I know he does things with bunker branding, doesn't he? So it's all printed in the US. So they don't drop ship it, so they're not going to have a company in Lithuania make them and send them out to the UK.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, obviously
maybe,
Matt Carricker makes it in store, yeah.
Maybe the bunker branding quality ones go to the American audience and they could drop ship in Europe.
Maybe.
Because you still get decent quality stuff and you're not going to pay like $40 shipping fees to get to the UK.
No, I agree.
Because that's the only reason I didn't do it, because it ended up being like $70 or something.
It's the same thing. It's like, obviously, when Matt set up Bunker Branding, it was in his garage, and in the beginning, I decided I was going to support them and get my own demo ranch.
Yeah.
Obviously,
You
t-shirt.
still got it, haven't you?
No, that's CS Arsenal, CNS Arsenal.
Right.
But again, the shipping costs were so extortionate. It outweighed the cost of the shirt, and it was like, I don't have that kind of money. I can't pay for
it
both.
Was a lot, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was awesome, though. What a cool story.
So funny.
And he literally highlighted the issue with humans at the end, didn't he?
Yeah.
How much would that cost in this day and age? Environmental impact studies, absolutely everything.
All
A
the
tender,
gear, the health and
because
safety, the
it
risk
has to go out to
assessments.
tender because it's above a certain value. Whereas a load of guys just got together, saw a problem,
did
and
it.
just went, let's fix it.
I know.
Which is awesome. That's the way things should. Not everything, but
Not
that's
everything.
the way a lot of things.
But a lot of
should be
things we
done.
spend
Less
too
red
much time
tape.
talking. I
Yeah.
agree.
Nice.
Right.
Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that. As always, make sure you like and subscribe, and we will all see you very soon.
Bye, guys.
Cheers.